retreat, shall we say, where we have this marvelous opportunity to reflect on our lives. It's serious business, the work of our lives, and to be aware of where we may have missed the mark, to make those corrections. We all miss the mark. We're human beings. As I tell every wedding couple under the chuppah, you will be harsh at times. You will be selfish. A litany of things. But today, under their wedding chuppah, they promise to do the work of repair. And Yom Kippur, in essence, is the day of our being under a canopy, a wedding canopy with the eternal and with ourselves, saying that we're here to do that work of repair. Actually, we do that work for ourselves so that our lives will be more joyous and richer and just more juicy. Sorry to use a food metaphor. I thought it might be helpful just to give a little outline of this morning's services to know where we're headed. We begin with our morning prayers that we say every morning, the attitude of gratitude that we're encouraged to have, and then verses of praise where we leave the confines of our own egos to see all that is out there. And here in Summit County, you all have a lot that's out there to appreciate. Then we do our Baruch Hu and our Shema, and then we will move into our silent prayer, the Amidah. It's sort of a misnomer because it's not silent. It's also called the standing prayer, which is a misnomer because we stand for part of it, not all of it. But it's in that prayer that many of the special prayers for Yom Kippur are included. Then we have our Torah service. And then we have this special section called the Vidui and Slichot, where our confessions, our communal confessions, and we also, as part of the Slichot part, forgiveness, asking forgiveness, we remind God, God, you're like a parent to us. God, you're like the potter and we're like the clay. God, who would you be without us? And then after those, we move into our pausing prayers for today. We don't end any of our services until 7:35. That's when we have the end of Ne'ilah and our shofar is sounded. So it's a long day, a long service, but what I like to say is there's a lot of people here who are extreme athletes. You know, this is not the 1 mile joggers. This is not the beginning slope. So you guys are used to doing long rides, long runs, hard slopes. So I know you're up for the task of the Yom Kippur liturgy and prayers. So I'd like us to begin by turning to page 135. And we read together on the bottom of the page. We thank you, living and eternal one, for morning light, for breath within, for strength and life renewed. Now it opens before us, this Sabbath of Sabbaths, gift of spacious contemplation, mirror for the soul. May we see our lives reflected in the still clear pool, a day apart, unhurried time, an undivided mind. Give us joy in this day that Israel shares. Give us presence and attention, clear vision, a listening heart. We wake to the morning, we open our eyes, we breathe your name. We turn to page 157, and we read together about our bodies. I can look at my body as an old friend who needs my help, or an enemy who frustrates me in every way with its frailty and inability to cope. Old friend, I shall try to be comfort to you to the end.
Baruch atah Adonai, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות.
We turn now to page 171 for a beautiful Yom Kippur song, Ilu Finu. I think it's the first time we're going to be singing this today. If our mouths were filled with song as the sea, and our tongues with music like the crash of ocean waves.
Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu kayam. Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu kayam. Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu finu male shira kayam. Ilu kayam.
On this holy day, we're more aware than ever that we're really not in charge. If you're like me, I like to think I'm in charge. I'm always trying to make things work the way I want them, but in the deepest level of life, we're really not in charge. And that produces a sense of humility, and perhaps a sense of understanding and gentleness and kindness towards others on a good day. We turn to page 173, where we refer to the majestic one who is enthroned beyond time and space.
HaMelech Yoshev al kisei ram v'nisa shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatub ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai laisharim navatehila.
We turn the page to page 178, where we begin this process of coming together as a community. I'd like to take a moment and welcome those who are at home. I know we had over 30 different families watching last night, so I want to welcome you again and let you know you are here with us. In particular, I know the Reingolds are at home. I know Marty and Carol Behrens are also watching. And if you're at home, please know you are in this community here as well, along with all of you as we take this journey in this sanctuary today. I invite you, as you are able, to please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 178.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Please be seated. And please join with me in reading responsively on page 185. You are the one who unites all things, who links life to life in a sacred chain. Our faces are reflected in the creatures of earth. We carry the sea within us. All beings intertwine in you. All are encompassed in Adonai Echad. To say Echad is to know this truth, to see the whole world, humankind undivided.
Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
So we turn to page 186. For many of us, we close our eyes because Shema means pay attention or hear this sacred truth.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvishavrecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hoseti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. So we'll turn to page 196, but I wanted to just share a teaching about the Mi Chamocha that connects it to the Shema and the Ve'ahavta. We're taught that when you love Adonai with all your body and all your soul, these things that are asked of us become possible. So when your children or your grandchildren ask you about the Eternal One, and you believe the answers yourself, and you can connect religion to your everyday comings and goings. For example, when you hug those children or grandchildren in bed at night with tender words of the Shema, or when you think upon rising in the morning to say, Modeh Ani, I'm so grateful to be here. To take that pause in the rush of your comings and goings. And perhaps to be alert enough to open doors for children and the elderly in every waking moment. And finally, to remember just why all these things matter. And one of the reasons they matter is because Adonai Elohecha brought you and your children and your grandchildren and our great-grandchildren out of Egypt to a better life. And when you do these things, the Eternal will be your children's God. Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot, osef
תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתחי נאומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We turn to page 198, and in just a moment, we'll begin our tefillah. And I wanted to, since the tefillah is meant to also be a prayer, an individual prayer, I wanted to remind you of something I reminded you of last night, that the cantor and I are providing a trail map of the services. So we pick out the prayers and read them and invite you to join us, and she does such a beautiful job of expressing the emotions behind each of our prayers. But it's very important that you feel free to explore this wonderful Machzor that I talked about last night, thousands of years of tradition. Feel free to go off course or to follow the thoughts in your own heart and mind. This is your day. It's a gift for you. So feel free to join on the path that we lead or to hop off and come back on as you see fit. We're going to read responsively this reading to lead into the Amidah, and then we're going to ask you to rise individually whenever you're ready, as symbolic of your taking responsibility for your own spiritual journey. So when you're ready, please rise for the Amidah. But first, together, responsively. In the depths of night, by the edge of the river, Jacob was left alone. In the barren wilderness, in doubt and despair, Elijah found God alone. We are bound to one another in myriad ways, but each soul needs time to itself. For the psalmist says, deep calls onto deep. From the depths of our soul, we seek what is most profound.
מסוד חכמים ונבונים, ומלמד דעת מבינים. הבטחה פי בתפילה ובתחנונים, לכלות ולחנן פני מלך מלא רחמים, מוחל וסולח לעוונים.
Page 200.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי לפני הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורפא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצליח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Amen. Please be seated. We turn now to one of those centerpieces of the Yom Kippur liturgy that I mentioned happens in the middle of the Amidah. It's the Unatana Tokef. It was way famous before Leonard Cohen, but he made it more famous. So we turn to page 208.
ובכן ולחת לקדושה, כי אתה אלוהינו מלך מוחל וסולח.
The words are old, and the language was theirs, but the call is real, and the message is ours. Take hold of your life while you still have the chance, for the story will end, and it might be this year, in a way you don't know. Take hold of your life. Make things right while you can, and don't miss the call of the day of dread.
ונתנה תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובו תנשא מלכותך ויכון בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת. אמת כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע בעד, וכותב וחותם וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומעליו יקרא וחותם יד, כל אדם בו.
In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal. You record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other.
ובשופר גדול ייתקע, ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע. ומלאכים יחפזון וכי הורדה יחזון, ומלאכים יחפזון וכי הורדה יחזון, ויאמרו הנה, הנה יום הדין, לבכות על צבע מרום בדין, כי לא יזכו בעיניך בדין, בדין, וכל באי עולם יעברו לפניך כבני מרון, כבני מרון, יעברו לפניך כבני מרון. כבקרת רועה עדרו, מעביר צאנו תחת שבטו, כן תעביר ותספור ותמנה ותפקוד נפש כל חי, ותחתוך קצבה לכל בריאה, ותכתוב את גזר דינם.
On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on the fast of Yom Kippur it is sealed.
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. כמה יעברון וכמה ייבראון. בראש השנה ייכתבון,
וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון.
מי יחיה בחרב ומי בחיה, מי ברב ומי בצמא. בראש השנה ייכתבון,
וביום צום כיפור יחתמו.
מי ברש ומי במגפה, מי בחניקה ומי בסקילה, מי ינוח ומי ינוע, מי ישקיט ומי יטרף, מי ישלב ומי יתייסר, מי יעני ומי יעשיר, מי יושפל ומי ירום, ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה מעבירין את רוע הגזרה.
We turn back to page 213 and read responsively. An empty page, an open book, a day of ultimate questions. What is in store for my family, and what will become of my friends? New love, new babies, marriages deepening or breaking apart, prosperity, struggle, reversals of fortune, illness, and health await us. On the edge of the unknown, we tremble. What lies ahead for us all? Flesh and blood, frail creatures. Our lives are fleeting and subject to chance. Prayer, right action, a turning to the good. These give us hope and help us bear the pain of life. One more time. Utetshuva, tefila, tzedakah, mavirin et roa hagezera. We turn now to page 223. To be awake is to be alive. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. Never lose a holy curiosity. Wisdom begins with awe of the eternal. Page 235, Kiddushat Hayom.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, מחל עוונותינו ביום הכיפורים הזה, מחי ועבר פשענו וחטאותינו מנגד עיניך כאמור. אנוכי ומוחי ושייך למעני וחטאותיך לא אזכור. ונאמר מחייתיך פשעיך וחנן חטאותיך שובה אלי כי ילתיך. ונאמר כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהרכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו.
Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Erase our misdeeds. See beyond our defiance. Please join with me. For Isaiah said in your name, "It is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors." And the prophet said, "As a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. As you said to Moses, for on this day of atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai." We will continue silently now through page 252. And I invite you to read the traditional liturgy on the right-hand side of the page, or perhaps to read the left-hand side of the page. If it raises your game, so to speak, to stand, please stand. If you want to go stare out the window, I sometimes do that. When I'm davening the Amidah, do that. But take these next 5 to 7 minutes for yourself. You may also want to look at page 206 or 297. 206 or 297.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום.
Avinu Malkeinu, we acknowledge that we have missed the mark, but we ask that God accept our prayers, our forgiveness, our genuine regret. I ask you to rise as we turn to page 252 for Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our Sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever, Vecherev Verav, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar, Umasin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotveinu, Besefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
Please be seated. I try to extend those please be seated times, even if you're going to have to get up very soon, just so you can rest a little bit. We are about to begin our Torah study, our Torah service, our Kriyat HaTorah, the reading of the Torah. And I would like to invite up Linda and Joe Black to open the ark as they are opening a new chapter in their life as well. And I'd like to invite up David Forstein, who I'm going to ask to help me to carry the Torah, if he is here. So, as the ark is opened, I would ask that you please rise as you are able.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshatecha bechol dor Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim, heitiv avirtzoncha et Zion. Tivne chomot Yerushalayim, ki v'cha levad batachnu. Melech el ram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, nose avon v'afesha, v'chata v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, nose avon v'afesha, v'chata v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, nose avon v'afesha, v'chata v'nakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, uneromemo Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, ve'amid na'aseh lechol lerosh. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu, v'hishtachavu, lehadom raglav kadosh hu. Romemu, Romemu,
The middle row.
Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu, v'hishtachavu, lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, haolam, omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, haolam, omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim haolam omed, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim haolam omed, al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut hasadim, al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut hasadim.
You can be seated. You can wear it. Are we interested? We're doing this. We are. Yeah. What? Doors. Yeah. Oh, there's a piece stuck. I got it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Please be seated. I'm going to need you now. Mark. Go standing. So I've just asked Mark if he would honor us by serving as the Gabbai. You may notice when you get called up to the Torah, we ask folks to wear or share a talit as a sign of respect for the Torah. And we ask, when we get called up, we recite some blessings, and we have them on very big cards. But we asked if he would be so kind as to hold them up so people could see them. So that's what that was going on just then. So we have a tradition. It's not only to read from Deuteronomy 29:9 through 29:14, that's found on page 266, and then we continue on page 267 through 268. Many of the Jewish world is reading this on Yom Kippur, but in our particular Jewish world, Sue Payer reads the Torah for us and has been doing so on Yom Kippur for many, many years. So I'd like to invite her up, and we're rest assured, for those of you who joined us for Rosh Hashanah, we learned something. Check the Torah the night before. So last night we rolled the Torah back to the place it was on Rosh Hashanah, where we had to move it to the front because the book of Deuteronomy is the fifth and final book of the Torah, and the section that we read on Rosh Hashanah, of course, was from the first book of the Torah. So we, last week, needed to roll it back, but this week we roll it forward. And for this first Aliyah, I want to invite up those of you who were told that this covenant was not being made at Sinai just with those who were present at Sinai, but with everyone who was not yet born and who would enter the covenant. So that included us, it included Jews by choice, Jews by birth, who hadn't yet been born. But if you feel as though you are committed in some way to making sure that there is a future community who will enter into the covenant of the Jewish people, perhaps children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren, I invite you up for this first Aliyah. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of wing it a little bit. Let's see who comes up with the tallest. This is for your wife. Your wife needs one. And Cheryl. What's that?
Who would rename seating?
You weren't here when I know.
I was thinking the same. Everybody should come out. Everybody should come out.
Here's another talit. Okay. And I would ask you guys to come around the Torah, because Cantor will be showing this half the words, and Mark will be showing the words as he lifts them up. And come closer, come closer, come closer, come closer. Give Sue a little love. Come closer, come closer, come closer. There we go. Yeah, give her a little hug. She's been practicing. And we say together, Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher barucha banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'Torah. Amen.
אתם ניצבים היום כולכם לפני אדוני אלוהיכם, ראשיכם, שבטיכם, זקניכם ושוטריכם, כל איש ישראל. תבכם, נשיכם וגריך אשר בקרוב מחנך, מכותב את עצך עד שואב ממך לעברך בברית אדוני אלוהיך, ובעלותו אשר אדוני אלוהיך כורת עמך היום למען הקים אותך היום לא לעם והוא יהיה לך לאלוהים כאשר דבר לך וכאשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב. ולא איתכם לבדכם אנוכי כורת את הברית הזאת ואת העלה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר איננו פה עמנו היום. כי Did I go too far? כי היום, כי אתם ידעתם את אשר ישנו, no, I did go too far. Hayom is the end. Every time I'm
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah. Amen. Let's close that. Can I close the Torah? Misha berach avotenu ve'imotenu. May the ones who blessed your ancestors bless you. May you be given the patience. May you be given the patience and more patience to accept that every generation accepts the Torah and makes it their own in unique ways. And may you live your life as an example, as an inspiration, so that future generations of children, of students, will realize the beauty and the wisdom and the anchor that our marvelous tradition offers us and the world, and will offer them as well. And let us say, Amen. Thank you for coming up.
Where do you stop?
For our second Aliyah, I make reference to this very famous line. It's found on page 267, where people say, "This is so hard, it's so far." And the Eternal responds, "No, this is very near to you. It's in your mouth, in your heart, and surely you can do it." If you have an aspiration or a desire or goal this year that you feel is really hard for you, you're not quite sure how you're going to do it, I invite you to come up, because it's not far away, but it's really close at hand in your heart and soul that your goals will be met. I invite you up for this second Aliyah. Okay, we have to give the talit. Here you guys go. We're going to get close to the readers. It brings them. Yeah. Okay. I did notice that in the beginning, the first folks that were hopping up were our younger members. I hope our more senior members have goals that they're striving for. Come close. Please come. Come closer. Come closer. Okay. And we'd love to have, would you, when it's time to kiss the Torah, maybe, when it's come times to kiss, the Torah will have you kiss. You kiss too. Okay, Mark. Lift that up for them. And we say, Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Barcha Banu Mikol Ha'amin. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah. Amen. Here, give her the towels for a second so she can use it to kiss the Torah. Okay, use that.
כי המצווה הזאת אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לא נפלט הוא ממך ולא רק חוקה הוא לא בשמיים הוא לאמור מי יעלה לנו השמיימה ויקחיה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה ולא מעבר לים הוא לאמור מי יעבר לנו אל עבר הים ויקחיה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד בפיך ולבבך לעשותו. אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Misha Berach Avotenu ve'imotenu. May the ones who blessed our forefathers and foremothers bless you as well. And may you be grateful, may we be grateful that you actually have goals and aspirations that you're striving for in this life. And may you know that inside you, it's not off away, but with the support and love of community and the Eternal One, those goals, they may show up being met slightly differently than you initially thought, but the fulfillment of them will be reached in the coming year. And may we all say, Amen. Thank you for coming up. Looks good on you. So, it's traditional when the Torah is out between the second and the third Aliyah to pray for healing. So, as we go around, I'd like to ask you if there's anyone for whom you are praying for healing, and we'll collect those all and then do a communal prayer of healing for those who are in need of healing and their caretakers. Your mother and your stepfather. Sarah. Your mother. Your Aunt Patty. Your cousin Jennifer. Your sister Whitney. Your friend. Your father. Your friend. We are also praying for you. You are having shoulder surgery soon, and we want to pray for you to have success with that surgery. Your brother, that's your uncle? Yeah, your uncle. Okay. Your friend? Larry Kaplan, your friend and our congregant? Larry Gilbert, who is your husband. As well as, I'd like to say Jeff Fine, also at home. And of course, Alan, we are praying for you, and we're also praying for Pam, who's helping to take extra good care of you as well. A friend. Okay, please be seated as we turn to page 273 for the Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
For our third and final aliyah this morning, I reference my favorite line in the entire Torah. I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life so that you and your children may live. Every day is a choice. We can choose life and blessing, or we can fall into despair and nihilism. So if this year you want a little extra oomph in choosing life and choosing blessing rather than falling into nihilism and despair, please come forward for this third Aliyah. I will go up. I will go up. Oh, people are coming. Okay.
You have to choose it every day. Every day is coming up because no one was coming up. Okay.
I just conferred, I was concerned that people were coming up just because no one was coming up. But they verified that no, every day they have to choose life. So they had to take a moment to think about whether they were going to choose life and come up or not. I think that's what was happening. So please come forwards, closer Brad, closer Daniel, closer Diane. Come close, come close. Who has never touched the Torah before, who is at least bar bat mitzvah age? Everybody has touched the Torah. Okay, Daniel, you look younger, so how about we have you when she opens it? We use the end of the talit to kiss the Torah. We say the words of the Torah are sweet, but we don't actually touch the letters of the Torah because they're handwritten with very special ink, and the oil on your skin will deteriorate it. But if you use that, and you might take even a bigger piece if your friend is willing to loan you more. And as Mark holds up our blessing card, we surround. Okay. And feel free to put your arm on the people next to you. I feel people are not being hugged. Okay. And Baruch Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Karbanu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai, Notein HaTorah. Amen.
ראה נתתי לפניך היום את החיים ואת הטוב ואת המוות ואת הרע, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו, וחיית ורבית וברכך אדוני אלוהיך בארץ אשר אתה ושמע לרשתה. ואם יפנה לבבך ולא תשמע וידחת והשתחווית לאלוהים אחרים עבדתם, הגידתי לכם היום כי אעבור תאבדון, לא תאריכון ימים על האדמה אשר אתה עבר את הירדן לבוא שמה לרשתה. העידתי בכם היום את השמיים ואת הארץ החיים, והמוות נתתי לפניך, הברכה והקללה ובחרת וחיים למען תחיה אתה וזרעך לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, לשמוע בקולו ולבקרו, כי הוא חייך וארך ימיך לשבת על האדמה אשר Nishba Adonai la'avotecha, la'Avraham, liYitzchak, u'liYaakov, latet lahem. Kiss. Touch it with you. Touch it with
Baruch
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tokeinu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Misha Berach Avotenu Ve'imotenu. May the ones who blessed our ancestors, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless you. And may each day you choose life. Some days it's hard. Some days it's hard. And I offer you, although I'm slightly biased, our rich Jewish tradition has so many practices and lessons to learn to help us live a life in which we choose blessing and life, l'chaim. May it be so in this coming year for you. Amen. Thank you, Daniel. So as our friends saw who came and kissed the Torah, you see there's no vows, there's no commas, there's no periods in the Torah. So reading it is quite difficult and takes lots and lots of practice and study, which is why all those bar mitzvah children are shivering and shaking in their boots. It's now time for us to lift and dress the Torah, and I would like to invite up for Hagba and Galila, Rob Schiffman and Lynn Borker. Please come forward. And as Rob lifts the Torah and then turns it so it faces the community to see the letters, I ask that you please rise to honor the Torah. V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe.
Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, Torah,
Yep, beautiful.
Torah,
Beautiful.
Torah, Torah,
Yep,
tziva
and we put
lanu
it so it
Moshe.
faces him.
Torah, Torah.
Beautiful.
Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
It's just two.
Torah, Torah, Torah,
See the two?
Torah,
Yep.
Torah,
So now I'm gonna
Torah,
ask him to turn
Torah,
it so it faces you.
tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah.
Great job. Perfect. Perfect. Now we put it one on each side. Beautiful.
Moshe.
Now we have one more thing
Torah,
coming.
Torah, Torah,
Just getting the
Torah,
Torah dressed.
Torah, tziva lanu Moshe.
Now we're going to have, Rob is going to sit with the Torah for a few minutes, and you're going to go back to your seat. You're comfortable? Yeah. Okay. Please be seated. Our beautiful country always needs to be prayed for and is always in need of healing. I feel at this time especially, and I would like to invite up the Schlesingers, Mark and Joel, our longtime congregants, to read a prayer for our country that is found on page 286.
God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Inspire us through your teachings and commandments to love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice, an activist for liberty, a defender of dignity. And let us champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted, a beacon of hope among the nations.
May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail.
We pray for all who serve our country with selfless devotion, in peace and in war, from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all whose noble deeds and sacrifice benefit our nation and our world.
We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of those rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's interesting, I know Tom and I are hosting 2 exchange students this year, one from Liberia and one from Senegal, and our members, the Frankels, are hosting a student from France, and they make all of these exchange students take a civics class or a history, U.S. history class. I have learned more in 3 weeks about our country and how it's supposed to function, and I'm a little embarrassed. So I ask you to please rise as we will return the Torah to the ark, and I ask Rob to please rise as he too holds the Torah and prepares to give it to me.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו. תהילה לכל חסידיו,
Perfect.
לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה, כי לקח טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזובו. את חיים היא
למחזיקים בם, לטון מיושה, דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש חדש עמנו, חדש עמנו כקדם. Please be seated. Oh, Rob. How will anybody know your name? It actually is fitting the sermon. You'll see that. What do you call that again? The name tag.
It's a funny thing about being a rabbi. Hold on, my shoelace is untied. You never know when the community's going to come, so you don't know if you should do the bigger sermon, the night, the day. It all is the way it's supposed to be. So, I want to talk to you today. Well, let me begin differently. In May of this year, our United States Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, released a new Surgeon General advisory calling attention to a public health crisis. A public health crisis hiding in plain sight. Surgeon General Murthy referred to it as an epidemic that is harming both individual and societal health. This particular epidemic includes a 29% increased risk of heart disease, a 32% increased risk of stroke, a 50% increased risk of developing dementia for older adults. And this epidemic has also led to an increased risk of premature death by more than 60%. It's an epidemic of loneliness, isolation, and a lack of connection in our country. Our epidemic of loneliness and isolation, Murthy wrote, has been an underappreciated public health crisis that has harmed individual and societal health. Our relationships are a source of healing and well-being hiding in plain sight. One that can help us live healthier, more fulfilled, and more productive lives. Given the significant health consequences of loneliness and isolation, we as a country, he wrote, must prioritize building social connection the same way we have prioritized other public health issues, such as tobacco, obesity, and substance use disorders. Together, he writes, we can build a country that's healthier, more resilient, less lonely, and more connected. According to his finding, more than half of Americans report that they are lonely. In adults, the risk of developing depression among those who report feeling lonely is often more than double that of people who rarely or never feel lonely. And if these findings weren't sobering enough, how about this one? Young adults are almost twice as likely to report feeling lonely as those over the age of 65. Our brilliant, wise, ancient tradition is well aware of the serious threat that loneliness places. We're taught in the Mishnah, which was composed over 2,000 years ago. Al tifros min hasibur. Do not separate yourself from the community. The Mishnah teaches it is not good for a person to be alone. In Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers, our sages encourage everyone to develop at least one close friendship. Chavruta o metuta. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, 2 are better than 1, for should they fall, one can raise the other, but woe to the one who falls and has no companion to help lift them. What do our medical experts prescribe for this epidemic? Cultivating a culture of connection. A culture of connection. The precise medicinal wisdom of our tradition. Cultivate a culture of connections. Friends, where does that happen? In synagogues, in churches, and in mosque communities. Communities. Now, allow me to explain how we at SOS offer and ask you to participate in this treatment plan. I call it the 4 N's. That makes it easy. Each of us wants to be noticed. Each of us wants to be noticed. Each of us wants to be named. Each of us wants to be known. And each of us wants to be needed. Our first N, being noticed. We human beings have a need to be noticed. And when you are noticed, you exist. When you are noticed or notice someone else, we are signaling to them, you are remembered. You matter. You carry significance in the world. Although we all strive to be nice people, the Talmud tells us of one rabbi, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was exceptionally nice to people in one area. He was always the first to greet the other person and say, hello. He was always the first to extend a greeting. Have you ever entered a room and no one comes over and says hello? How do you feel when that happens? You probably are familiar with the hello game. You go to shul or a wedding or in an elevator and you wait to say who will say hello first. You or the other person. You sit or you stand uncomfortably. Perhaps you stare at your iPhone. You avoid eye contact. Is he going to say hello? Is she waiting for me to approach her? Rav Chaim Dov Stock teaches us that the hello game is all a question of who values whom more. Does so-and-so value my presence enough to come over and say hello first? Or should I lower myself and say hello to him or her first? Friends, when we make the effort to be the first to say hello, or when we greet another person with a smiling face and an enthusiastic, good to see you, it shows that we value them. This feeling of I matter is so essential to everybody's well-being. The neshama, the soul, is called kavod, honor. Why? Because a person's soul is what gives them value. And without the neshama, every person would be just a clump of dirt held together by some bones. But the presence of a neshama is what elevates that clump of dirt into a human being. And the neshama is what gives a person value. It's what gives us life. When you greet another person, you're essentially tapping into their neshama and noticing its value. That's why a person's face lights up when you give them an enthusiastic greeting. They feel that you're noticing their neshama. We all need to feel valued in order to continue to exist and invest meaning in our lives. You can shape, yes, you can shape someone's entire reality and self-perception and self-value simply by greeting them with a smile. These Yamim Noraim, and this year 5784, let's practice showing kavod, honor, to other people in our community by noticing them, by greeting them with a smile, by making an effort to greet the other person first. We'll be showing them and reminding ourselves that every single person has tremendous value and is deserving of honor. Our second N, naming. Lori McKinsey, a professor of linguistics at NYU, explained what happens when we name something. She says, naming shows that the person or item is special to us in some particular way. When we use someone's name or when we address someone by their name, you also acknowledge their importance. Think about it. The sound of your name cuts through all the noise that is around us. Rob, Margaret, Tom, Susan. Since birth, we have been conditioned to respond to the sound of our names. How would you feel if your friend or your spouse or colleague referred to you by another's name? From time to time, my husband calls me his sister's name. I don't like it. That is why the power of names is so important. Using someone's name is a courtesy and a way to establish a rapport with another person. So, that is why at Synagogue of the Summit, we're always asking you to put on name tags. That's why at services we put out a pen and paper, because we all forget people's names. Sure, wearing a name tag can feel silly or a little awkward. And the late, great Dale Carnegie taught name tags are an engagement tool. Name tags are an invitation to friendliness. Name tags make it easier for everyone around us. So this year, at all our gatherings, at all our services, at all our golf outings, let's proudly plaster our names on name tags. You can use your Hebrew name or your secular name, or if you have a nickname that you want to be known by, please let us know on your name tag. And if someone mispronounces your name, it is bound to happen. Thoughtfully correct them. Noticing, naming. That brings us to our third N. Well, it sounds like an N. To be known. Each of us has a need to be known by others. Being known breaks through the existential isolation and loneliness that can accompany being a human being. Each of us has to allow ourselves to be known. That can be scary at times. Being known means taking a risk and sometimes making ourselves vulnerable. But it's worth it. How do we become known at Synagogue of the Summit? For some of us, it's taking a class. For some, they come to Torah study. And as we explore topics and eat bagels, we learn about one another's ideas and values and experiences. For others, it's joining us for a bike ride or a round of golf or a descent down a double black diamond slope. And during these outings, we learn about one another's passions as well as our health challenges. We learn about what's working well in our lives and what's difficult. We learn about who we each are. For others, we gather at services or at Passover Seders, and sitting around the oneg table with our tummies nurtured, we learn about how others and celebrated these holidays as children, how another person chose Judaism and became Jewish, what charoset or challah recipe our mothers made. Being known means letting others know that you or your family members are struggling with addictions or depressions or sicknesses. Our tradition teaches each of us is a precious Eitz Chaim, a living Torah. And like the Torah, we're each filled with stories and experiences of joys and of pains, just waiting to be known and shared. Really. This year, 5784, let's each open our individual Eitz Chaim, and let each of us take an interest in learning and getting to know the stories of one another. Noticing, naming, being known. That brings me to the fourth N. We each have a need to be needed. You are needed. You are needed. Rabbi David Wolpe related the following. A man once stood before God, his heart breaking from the pain and the injustices in the world. Dear God, he cried out, look at all the suffering. Look at all the anguish and distress in your world. Why don't you send help? And God responded, I did send help. I sent you. I sent you. Judaism does not merely request that we provide help if our heart feels moved towards someone or some cause. We are obligated to be of service. It's a mitzvah, a sacred obligation, a sacred responsibility, and we are obligated to share our time, our talents, and our financial resources. Muhammad Ali once said, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. We give back. None of us can expect to live somewhere without paying rent or a mortgage. And similarly, we should not expect to live without giving back to the community in which we live and work. The Jerusalem Talmud tells us deeds of loving kindness are equal in weight to all the commandments. And the Talmud teaches all of Israel is responsible one for the other. Kol Yisrael arevim zeh bezeh. That's why you're here, because we're all responsible one for the other. And when we help other people, we establish an experience or a connection with them. And we also remind ourselves of the value that we bring into this world. Dr. Murthy said, that's essential because when people struggle with loneliness over time, it erodes their sense of self-esteem and their sense of self. It can make a person believe over time that they're lonely because they're not likable or they're not lovable. Yet when we serve others, we come to see that that's not the case. Achad Ha'am, the great Israeli Zionist, wrote, when the individual values the community as his or her own life and strives after its happiness as though it were his individual well-being, he finds satisfaction and no longer feels so keenly the bitterness of his individual existence, because he sees the end for which he lives and suffers. I have shared with you the health benefits of service. and that as Jews, we're obligated to be of service. So, allow me to share some ways that you are needed at SOS. Please volunteer to bring a meal to a sick congregant. Please host a Shabbat Torah study in your home. Please organize or lead a ski day or a hike or a golf outing. When we send out a request for folks to attend an online Shiva Minyan, please sign up. Please be a greeter at Shabbat services. Please invite another SOS member whom you don't know well to your home for Shabbat dinner. Yes, you can do it. Invite another SOS member who you don't know well over to your house for Shabbat dinner. Don't clean. Don't cook. Buy takeout. Let it be messy. This is about building connection. And if you have questions about this, please, you can ask me. You can ask our president, Mark Wachowski. You can ask our membership director, Amy Summers. I'm not sure where she is right now. She was out welcoming and greeting everybody. Your service will make for a more vibrant SOS community, and it will be good for your emotional and physical health. Maybe that is why our sacred religious obligations, that's what they're all about. You may not always feel like being of service, but chances are it's good for you, for others, and for our community. We are a covenantal community. We have a sacred relationship between us and God that we talk about all day on Yom Kippur, but we also have a sacred responsibility to and for one another. So this year, I really, 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 pretty please, kind of like how we plead before the Octa Avinu Malkeinu, please make an effort to notice someone, to name someone, to let yourself be known by someone, and to let you recognize that you are needed and show up to that need. And by remembering and practicing our 4 ends this year, I believe with all my soul, with all my heart, and with all my might, that we will come closer to ending this epidemic of loneliness and ensuring that each of us is not just a sefer, but a sefer chayim, a vibrant, living, alive Torah. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so. We turn now to the vidui and the slichot, the confessions and our pleas to be forgiven. We begin on page 294 with Shema Kolenu. Hear our call, Eternal One. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill.
Shema Shema Koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus Verachem Aleinu V'kapel berachamim uratzon et tefilateinu Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh ameinu kekedesh
we turn to page 296 for the Vidui Sutta, the short confession. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, at times we are arrogant and stubborn. At times we claim to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed, and we have done wrong.
Ay, 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 Ashamnu,
Hashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi.
ay, 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 Evinu,
Hevinu,
Vihirshanu,
Vihirshanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tafalnu Sheker,
Tafanu Sheker.
ay, 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 Ya'atznu Ra,
Yasnu Ra,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latznu,
Zasnu,
Maradnu,
Radnu,
Ni'atznu,
Lasnu,
Sararnu,
Saranu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Hashanu,
Hashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Oref.
ay, 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 Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu.
Anu. I just saw this reading and I wanted to invite you just to take a minute on page 297 where it begins in a culture, just to read that to yourself silently. So I invite us now to turn to page 299 for a contemporary al-Khet. And we will take turns responsively, let's reading the lines. For the sin we committed against you through evading and avoiding, because we could not face the truth. For the facts we dissembled and all we glossed over, for the excuses we made. For interfering with the souls of others and neglecting their needs. For our foolishness, our folly, and false standards. For our complacency which blinds us, and our self-righteousness which lessens us. For charity that is cold, and prayers without feeling. For the appeals we have ignored and the people whom we have refused. For the visions which faded, the ideals we neglected, and the opportunities we lost. For saying prayers aloud but refusing to listen. Page 300.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways, join with me, for the ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
The ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harm we have caused you in world through impulsive acts of malice.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you by abusing our power, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you in our routine conversations, and harm we have caused in your world through envy.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Page 304.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by hating without cause.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you by losing self-control, and the harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and the harm we have caused in your world by hardening our hearts.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you through greed and exploitation, and the harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך.
For the ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes, and the harm we have caused in your world by profaning your name in public.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
In this year in which we have seen raging wildfires, tsunamis, tropical storms, I invite us to recite this vidui for the 21st century found on page 307, where we confess our sins against the earth and hopefully commit ourselves to saving it. We read one after the other responsively. We have assaulted our planet in countless ways. We have consumed thoughtlessly and irresponsibly. We have exhausted irreplaceable resources. We have given in to our many appetites and our gluttony. We have ignored the signs of change in our climate and our seasons. We have known the problem but left problem solving to others. We have mocked cynically those who love creatures great and small. We have overpopulated our cities and overfished our oceans. We have questioned and doubted solid evidence of danger. We have spewed poison into the bloodstream of our land, its rivers, lakes, and estuaries. We have used shared resources for personal gain and corporate profit. We have wasted precious treasures, our God-given gifts. And yet, we yearn to be better guardians of this earth and the fullness thereof. Ve'al kulam cantor.
Ve'al kulam ela selichot slach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu ve'al kulam ela selichot slach lanu mechalanu slach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu.
Friends, I invite us to take just about 5 to 7 minutes for your own personal private vidui. There are readings that go from page 293 through 309, some beautiful readings. Perhaps just choose one reading or one set of questions for your own private heshbon hanefesh, the soul accounting of your own soul.
nine, 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 nine.
I'd like to invite up our president, Mark Shofsky, to share some words with us.
Shana Tova and Gut Yontif. May you all have a healthy, happy, and peaceful new year and an easy and meaningful fast. I'm feeling it. I don't know about you. It's my privilege and honor to give my last High Holy Days speech as president to you on this Yom Kippur 5784. Whether you are members here or guests, it's great to see so many of you here to observe Yom Kippur together. Take a look around. This magnificent sacred space, which just yesterday we, thanks to Charlie Schaffnos and his setup crew, converted from a fully functioning church and will convert back by tomorrow sometime. With our beautiful new Aron Kodesh, holding our now one-year-old Torah, at least 1 year to us, and our beautiful new Nir Tamid with its light shining brightly, which it didn't do on Rosh Hashanah for those who noticed, but it is today, fills me with pride for SOS and all that we accomplish each year. That said, the beauty that surrounds us does not happen without a great deal of support from you, the members of our congregation. After Cheryl Schiffman's eloquent Yom Kippur appeal speech last night, I wanted to underscore and augment this year's appeal with a few more words. First, the money thing. I ask that you consider donating to this year's Yom Kippur appeal in an amount that is meaningful to you and your family so that we can sustain this community now and well into the future. This is what that donation form looks like, with a QR code, makes it easy. By design, we do have extremely low membership dues, not thousands of dollars per year, but hundreds. And truly, while we don't have a building or a building fund, and probably never will, God help us, that doesn't mean we don't have expenses. Some are must-haves and some are nice-to-haves. The must-haves include things like our rabbi and cantor salaries, housing and travel expenses. They are part-time with us after all. Our staff and a variety of other subsidized and general expenses. But the nice-to-haves, well, that's the fun part. That's what allows us to subsidize and invest in our community, in our events and our choice of venues in a way that is embracing and appealing for all. You might be surprised to hear that costs for everything have been going up. Are you? But you shouldn't be. So if you haven't already paid your dues, please do so at your earliest convenience, as this, I mean, eventually everybody is going to pay your dues, but if you pay it early on in the season, this allows us to better plan and forecast for the year ahead. And remember, in order to make it affordable for all, which is our mission and our policy and our goal, our due structure is tiered and starts quite low, very low, ridiculously low. However, our true cost of membership has steadily increased and now sits at approximately the blue slopeside level. In addition to our membership dues, we have 3 core funds that are critical to our operations, and that's what these slips of paper are about. The Torah Fund, whose purpose is to fund future recurring needs, to maintain and care for the Torah, has been depleted after funding our recent acquisition of the Torah itself and paying for the Torah Celebration Weekend and all of that related stuff. The Prayer Book Fund was created to purchase all the wonderful prayer books we currently have. It did its job, but now has, a negative balance. We need to fund it again so we can replace and add more prayer books. Yes, yesterday's attendance was probably a record. I don't know what the count is yet, but I think it was well over 120 people. In addition, we had about 35 people online with us. So there's a lot of people that are interested. We're probably going to need more books. And finally, we have a rabbi discretionary fund that has also been depleted. All of our funds have been depleted and would benefit from additional funds. As the name implies, this fund allows Rabbi to use her discretion to spend money as she sees fit for the benefit of SOS and our congregants, which is a good thing. But there's something else we need, more than money, if you can believe I said that. I can't even believe it. But anyway, there is something else we need more to sustain this community. It's the people thing. And this was uncoordinated with Rabbi's sermon and with Cheryl's speech. And together, all three of us have converged on the same theme. It's pretty surprising. We need you, your time, your commitment, your involvement, your ideas, and your talent. Come to Torah study. Help organize and or participate in our many outings and events such as hiking, biking, skiing, pickleball, etc. Get involved and participate in Mitzvah Day. Get involved with the membership or community service committees to help out. Come and worship at our monthly rabbi and lay-led Shabbat services. This is what a community is. This is what SOS is all about, engagement and involvement, not just showing up on the high holidays. And yes, I know these things all take time and that we're all busy. I know that feeling of not having enough time. I'm a pretty busy guy myself. But in fact, no one these days has enough time. But when you think about it, at the end of the day, we all have exactly the same amount of time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But just as with our money, we make choices about how we spend it. While some of us have more money than others, none of us has more time than another person. It's all in how we prioritize. My simple prayer and appeal in this new year is that SOS becomes a higher priority for more of us, even if just a little bit. I recently read something you might all be able to get and relate to, and even, I might be dating myself here, to grok. Who gets that?
Science fiction.
Our congregation, like many organizations, has one member, an extremely important person, who is here to get things done. You all know this person. Everyone believes in this person and is counting on them. You may be wondering who that person is. I'll tell you their name. Drum roll. Someone else. Thank God for someone else, because he will donate and she will volunteer. I know that someone else is here right now. Take a look around you, as he or she may be sitting right next to you. The truth is, who we are, for our SOS community to grow and remain vibrant and healthy, it takes a village. I'm asking you to be someone else. We need you. We need your passion, your interest, your ideas, your involvement, your energy, and your commitment. So come on, step up, get involved, be an SOS mensch. Reach out to Amy Summers, our membership director, or to Ruth Kaplan, our director of events, or Nancy Held, our director of community service, or to me, do the others, to find out how. Thank you all for being part of our SOS community. Wishing you all a Gemar Chatima Tova. May you be inscribed in the book of life for good. Thank you.
Once again, we ask Shema Kolenu, hear our voices. We ask God to hear our voices. And our president has asked you, hear his voice. Shema Kolenu.
Shema.
See, it's not always heard the first time.
Shema Kolenu. Adonai Eloheinu, chus verachem, verachem aleinu, v'kabel v'rachamim uvratzon, et tefilateinu. Hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem.
We are your people, you are our God, we are your community, you are our portion. We are your treasure and you are the one we cherish. So forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 310.
Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha ve'ata avinu, anu avadecha ve'ata Adonenu, anu kehalecha ve'ata chelkeinu, anu nachalatecha ve'ata goraleinu, anu tzonecha ve'ata roeinu, anu charmecha ve'ata notreinu, anu feulatecha ve'ata yotzreinu, anu rayatecha ve'ata dodeinu, anu segulatecha ve'ata keroveinu, anu amecha ve'ata malkeinu, anu mamirecha ve'ata mamireinu.
He is our president, we are his congregation, and he has some additional announcements to make.
So we're running, it's 12:30 now. The advertised end of our service will be a few minutes over that, but not too many. So, a few announcements. After morning services conclude, we'll have 3 breakout sessions. 2 of them will be in the library in this building, 1 will be outside. The first one will be spend some time with Rabbi Ruthie, to discuss the writing work of Chesban HaNefesh in our lives. An hour later, at about 1:45, so these are wrong. 12:45 is probably closer to 1 o'clock. The next one is probably closer to 2 o'clock. Our own congregant, David Radlauer, over here, will share his process for composing his new melody for the ancient Piyut Ya'aleh that many of us were privileged to hear the world premiere of last night, and it was quite beautiful. Thank you, David. At about 3 o'clock, I'm sure we'll all be ready to take part in a mindful walking meditation led by Diane Gordon and my wife, Rebecca. They'll be probably walking just across the parking lot into the beautiful park over there and be doing that meditation. Mincha service starts at 5, followed by Yizkor at 6, Nila at 7, concluding with Havdalah at about 7:40. After Havdalah, starting at 8 o'clock approximately, please join us for breakfast in the function room across the lobby. Then Friday, September 29th, Sukkot and Shabbat services will be led by our very own Barry Skolnick under the sukkah in the backyard at the home of Bruce and Laurie Schroffel in Frisco. Please dress for evening weather and bring a chair. See the newsletter for more details and so forth. Friday, October 6th, the next Friday, please join Rabbi Ruthie, also under the sukkah in Frisco, from about 5 to 6, earlier than dinner, for an informal chat with stories of Sukkot. Here again, please dress for outside weather and bring a chair. On the 7th, Saturday morning, we'll have our, please join Rabbi Ruthie, in the historic synagogue in Leadville for Simchat Torah services and celebration. Doors will be opening at around 9:30. Services begin at 10 sharp. Bring your own bag lunch. We'll follow the services and then we'll cap the day off with Jeff Fine leading a bike ride starting at around 2 o'clock on the Leadville Mineral Belt Trail bike path. We did that last year and everybody enjoyed it quite a bit. But please do register on the website if you're planning on going on the ride. As I've said throughout these high holidays, to pull off an event such as this takes a lot of hard work and a large number of volunteers. We're, after all, an all-volunteer community, so don't be shy. Whenever you feel the urge, we'd love to have you get involved and have your support. So finally, once again, a very big thank you to everyone who helped with all aspects of these holidays. Charlie Shafnos and his setup crew, they do an awful lot of work. Amy Summers and her team of greeters, Julie Schwartz and David Redlauer for helping with our music production, Joey Howe, our cellist at Kol Nidre. I think this is at least his third year, maybe more, with us. Melissa Forstein and my wife Rebecca and their crews for our Rosh Hashanah luncheon and Yom Kippur breakfast. Diane Gordon and Rebecca for our breakout meditation. Nancy Held for help with tzedakah. Jeff Fine for coordination with Rabbi. It's a big job. Angela Reeder for support and announcements, and of course Rabbi Ruthie and Cantor Avital for making these high holidays so wonderful and so special. And also, finally, a special thank you to Dillon Community Church for once again allowing us to worship in this beautiful space. So with that, wishing you all a Gemara Chatima Tova. May you all be inscribed in the Book of Life for good. Thank you.
You can see as the president, he has a lot of jobs, but he's learned and grown and got to know so many people in his role, and so many people know him now, so it's been a blessing overall. Thank you, Mark. In humility, we gather here this day, and with some humor, hoping to lift up our lives and persevere through life's trials. Let us continue to gain strength from one another, and let us gain strength from the tradition we share. We conclude this morning's service, Hayom, Hayom. Page 318.
Hayom, 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 hayom te'amseinu. Amen.
Good job.
Hayom, 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 hayom tevarchenu. Hayom, 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 hayom tegadlenu.
Amen.
Hayom, 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 hayom,
they're getting quieter. We need to be growing in strength.
Hayom, 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 hayom תכתבנו לחיים טובים.
Amen.
Hayom, 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 hayom tishma shavatenu.
Amen. Here's the big one.
Hayom, 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 hayom titmachenu bimin tzidkecha.
Amen. Som Kal, an easy fast.